Hi, for those of you who do not know me, I'm Renee, also known as Miss HG Mercury from the Sunshine Coast Pinup School. I'm a vintage stylist and a pinup photographer, and today I'm going to be trying out the VS Sassoon Secret Curl Silicone Pop-Up Rollers, and we're going to see if we can get a vintage curl set out of this. So let's go. So we'll start this video with a little bit of a disclaimer. This is not sponsored by VS Sassoon, but I did get this set of rollers for free. My friend Zoe has opened up a new hair salon in my town in Gympie, and she had a little celebration for her 1-year anniversary, and this was a lucky door prize, so I did not pay for these, and I won them in a raffle. So I actually never knew these existed. I have a traditional heated roller set that I don't use very often because heat doesn't really agree with my hair. And these seem very similar to the mechanism of, oops, sorry for elbowing the table then. These seem very similar to the mechanism of traditional 1950s silicone pop-up rollers, which everyone was made aware of. Again, it's like we almost forgot that they existed, from the marvelous Miss Maisel. And I will see if I can find a video or a clip or image of something of Miss Maisel setting her hair at night with the silicone pop-up rollers. So these seem like a heated version of that, so I'm really keen to try it out. This isn't an official unboxing because I was a good girl and I actually already opened it and made sure it was all within, it wasn't damaged or anything like that, and took off all the little packaging and labeling, and I read my safety guide. Always read your safety guide, especially with heated appliances, and it has little instructions. So apparently you just grab a section of hair, roll it up from the mid-length. I might try some mid-length and some end length because that's normally how you do heated sets, so you get those ends nice and tucked in, and then roll it up and pop it in. So now I haven't plugged it in just yet because I figured it'd be really hard to show you the individual curlers when they're boiling hot. So it comes in a set of 12. You've got a larger size. Actually, I can't actually tell which is the bigger size. I'll take them out and compare, but you've got them in a set of 12. I'm sorry, my lights are just reflecting on that glass. And then it's got like this little bit where when you turn it, you can access the rollers. So they sit in there to heat up. So there's one side, and then pull that out. There's another size. So there's like the tiniest difference in sizes. Having all of these within a curl set in your hair, traditionally vintage curl sets, you have the same size curl throughout your whole set of your hair. These aren't that different. When I do come across a set that has different sizes, I usually suggest that you put the smaller ones at the bottom and the bigger ones at the top, because as you wear a curl set through the day, your layers, the sections at the bottom are going to drop faster just because of the friction on your neck and on your clothing. So that is going to be my plan. I'm going to use the purple ones on the bottom and the pink ones on the top. How they work is you wrap your hair around and then pop them in, and then I'm assuming this whole bit is hot and it'll just heat it up. And then it doesn't seem that easy to pull out, but I think you just pull it out and then unravel your hair. So we will give these a go. I will pop them back in their little, whoop, that one's rolling away, back into their little compartment. Get that one over there. Oh, it has to be popped out. To pop it in. It does say, because these are silicone, it does say in the instruction manual that they can be washed, that you simply just take, well, I don't want to ruin them right now. You can simply just take them off and wash them with warm soapy water. So, which is good news because I usually like to use a setting solution with vintage sets, so I don't have to worry about them getting too manky. I can just wash them if they get a bit too much. So I am going to plug that in and we will talk about let's see, where's my thing? Hold on a second. Take off the little zip tie holding the cord. Probably should have done that before I plugged it in. Right, so it is on, I believe. I don't think there's an on switch. There's like nothing on the bottom. I don't think there's an actual on switch, and it must just have that, it's got that little indicator light. So I'm assuming that's just gonna heat up and turn a darker color, normally a red, like other hot roller sets. So why am I bringing you a video today as the Sunshine Coast Pinup School as a product that I have never used before? Why am I not bringing you a tutorial on exactly how to use this? Because I am a student of the world. I believe you should always be learning, always trying new things. And it's really important for me to demonstrate as well that, especially with vintage curl sets, vintage styling, hair and makeup, there is a learning curve to trying out a new technique. So I'm showing you as someone who is an experienced vintage stylist. I have done hundreds of curl sets over the years with a whole bunch of different methods. I even have an online vintage curl sets course where I step through and show you 9 different methods to create a vintage curl, from traditional vintage pin curl sets to modern hot roller sets and hot tongs. So trying out this method today, and you'll be able to see that, oh, it's like smoking, not like bad, but I can see the heat coming off it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like literally sitting right in front of my light, and I can see it heating up. So it is working. All right, hopefully we don't blow up. So yeah, it's important for me to show you that there is a learning curve to everything that you try. And it's just all about, like, vintage curl sets are just this entire experimental project that we can all embark on and have fun with. So this is just another step on my experimental journey, and I'm going to see how these go. If you are experimenting with vintage curl sets, you can download my free vintage curl sets resources, which are straight out of my online course, Vintage Curl Sets, How to Find Your Perfect Curl. And now you can download those resources for free, and it's a little curl set tracker. There's 3 setting patterns, a setting pattern tracker, and then also a complete experimental curl set tracker, so you can take notes and be nerdy like I do and say, my hair was washed 1 day ago, I used this setting solution and I set my hair for 10 hours, brushed it out, brush out took an hour, and my curl set lasted 2 days, for example. And you can compare all the different methods and find out what your perfect curl is. So while that is heating up, it feels warm. That little indicator light hasn't really changed color too much. The instructions say that it'll take about 10 minutes. So yeah, I'll have a look at how much I'm rambling. And yeah, so about 10 minutes and I'll start. So what you'll need for a vintage curl set is you'll need a brush, obviously, and to brush through your hair. You don't want any knots, and a comb to create your sections. I like to use claw clips and big clips as well to hold my sections out of place. I actually start all of my curl sets from the bottom up. I find it so much easier for sectioning, and you can use your setting solution of choice. Obviously, I'm using the Sunshine Coast Pinup School setting solution, which is brand new in our big 250ml bottles, so you get a lot more bang for your buck. And you can use a teasing brush if you want as well. I like to use a working hairspray so I can layer it. You can spray it when your spirals come out, and then spray it again when you're setting the style. And then I've got a pomade handy too if I want to have a bit more of a smoother style. Now, normally when I do my vintage curl sets, I keep my fringe as is, and I will do a side part. But for today, I'm going to just keep it as a middle part. And so there are 12. We have 12, oh, it's getting warm. We have 12, like 6 small, 6 big. So by my calculations, I normally do 3, or it also said in the instructions that if it doesn't pop in, then you've got too thick of a section. So I'm just gonna have to experiment with that. I normally have 3 on the side. So I think, how do I calculate that? So we got 4 big ones, and then we'll have a small one over my ear. And then we've got 2 more up the back at the top of the crown here. So that's my 6. And then we've got the 2 small ones here, and I can do 2 on the bottom and then maybe 2 there through midsection. So I think that's how I'm going to section my hair. So I'm just going to give it a really good brush through. I washed my hair yesterday. I usually like to leave my hair on my wash day and let it just chillax. I will leave a link to a blog on how to care for your hair when you unpin, just on little tips that I do when I wash my hair to make sure I've got nice, healthy hair for when I do essentially damage it with heat. Now you can use a heat spray as well. I'm just going to go in with the setting solution, and I'm going to spray this on each section before I roll it. So I am going to find my sections while that's still heating up. So I like to grab my fronts. Oh, excuse me. I like to grab my front sections like so. Clip that out of the way. Follow that line across to my ear. Try to get it as even as possible. Even when I have my hair in a middle part, I feel like this side of my hair has more hair compared to this side. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Logically, it shouldn't. And then we've got these sections at the back, which I said I was going to do 2 small, 2 small, 2 big. So if I separate this into 3 sections, the top section is going to be a little bit thicker. So if I just estimate that to be a bottom section, and let's roll with that. I'm gonna clip all that hair up, and I'm just gonna pick up these sections just so they're not hanging out. Yeah, too much. Now, are these hot enough? I'm just going to open and pull one out. That's warm. All right, so the plastic is the cool touch, and that's pretty warm. That's about as warm as the indicator as the other ones get, other hot rollers I've used in the past. But I'm going to start with the purples. Move my little revolving door around. Oh yeah, and you can feel it when you open the door that that's got heat in it. So I'm going to leave that in there for a second, just to keep the heat in. I've got 2 sections on the bottom here. And when you have longer hair too, if you just split your sections over your shoulder, so much easier. Let's start with this side. Going to use my setting solution. Few spritzes and a brush through. And how much setting solution you use in your hair is completely up to you and completely experimental as well. I'm just gonna give that an extra little bit. I like to feel that I've got something in there. Okay, I'm gonna pull out one of these rollers and then try and keep it as straight as possible. So let's follow the instructions. And I'm just wrapping that hair around. It's not too hot. I'm not really burning myself per se. I'm used to hot things on my hands just as part of my job. Okay, so I've rolled that up and then push it. Like so. It's not completely on base, like you can get with like a foam roller. So it's going to be more of a looser curl in my hair. I'll see if I can roll up the top sections a bit more on base. So, and to be honest, I think maybe my sections are a little bit too thick, just because I do have thick hair. Once it's all rolled up, it is quite hefty. I think these sections might be a bit too big for this size roller, but I don't really have a choice. So if you were to get this, I'd probably say if you have really long, thick hair, maybe get two. I've rolled that one up neater. There you go. First try, second try. I'm going to pop this out and just see if I can get another rotation in. I've also rolled it backwards and pop that in just to get that curl a little bit tighter. Yeah, they're about even now. Okay, now I gotta split this section. I know these sections are gonna be too thick, but otherwise I wouldn't have a full head of hair. Full head of hair. I won't have a full curl set if I don't do my sections like this. So yeah, let's just see how it turns out. Stay there. All right, so now I've got these sections, split them in the middle. Give them a little brush out. Got a little bit knotty from being twisted up. Make sure I won't pick up that. Let's grab another roller. Making sure I'm closing that door. And same thing with hot rollers. Make sure every time you close your thingo. Now, all of mine are going to be facing different ways because that's actually like the soft part. I don't know how they did this really pretty on the thing. Oh, obviously somebody else did it. Let's try this way, which is a little bit harder to hold because my dominant hand needs to be on the soft part. Well, let's roll up. I'm trying to get that as tight as possible. And then popping in. So yeah, that whole section of hair isn't going to be curled because it's a little bit too thick for this section. Now this side's going to be my pretty side. It kind of feels like the silicone that, you know, pops on and off as you can, so that when you can clean it, it kind of feels like it's going to pop off as I'm rolling it. Which some sponge rollers can feel like that. It can feel like the clip's just gonna pop off. So this section's very much too much. This section is too thick for this size roller, but we're gonna have to deal with it. Okay, so now I'm onto my top section and I'm going to switch to the larger pink ones, but I don't think actually there's much. Be free. I don't think there is much difference. And these sections are quite thick. Let's I'm going to actually see if I can change my game plan. I'm gonna feel the thickness of this section and feel the thickness of this section. I think I may be able to get away with one small one and one big one on my front sections. So I'm going to be able to split this in half. Gonna get that out of the way. Clip that over there. So it's okay to change your game plan. All right, so I'm going to do this back. I started rotating the door the wrong way. Open. Okay, so now we've got a thicker one for a thicker section. And I'm going to not have it the prettiest set ever. And I have to face that back way just because my dominant hand is feeling like I need to hold this cold touch, not the hot silicone. Oh, I'm glad I separated these sections. Okay, and get in there, man. So this set would actually be really good if you have finer hair than me. Where did that section go? Hey, come back. Yep. Okay. I'm always like, do I spray first or do I get the roller out first? So you can see why I leave clips in my hair so that you can drop a section and easily pick it back up. Right, so I'm gonna start pulling my base direction up. So that is just pulling the angle of your hair from your scalp at a different angle, which will create a different voluminous level in your curl. I go into so much more detail in my vintage curl sets course. There is a link below. But today we are just experimenting with this. Oh, that one was good. Maybe I might need to try to recurl this one. Let's see if I can get like another rotation. Yeah. It's not liking the thickness of my hair. All right, that's a little bit better. Okay, moving on. We've got two sections here with the biggies. Just clip that. Clip that there. Let's pick this bit up, give it a spray. Are you not entertained? Hey, all right, I'm doing it with one hand now. That is getting a bit better. All right, so this side obviously is gonna look prettier. Because we have the front of the pop rollers. So I've got that one sitting at a higher base than this side. I actually think I may re-roll this. I don't know how hot this roller is, but it should be fine. I'm gonna re-roll this side and see if I can get it clipped at the same height, because you will notice a huge difference in your curls. Okay, that's a bit better. So I'm trying to get them even on each side so that the curls will be even on each side. Picking up this bit. You want to make sure when you're doing all your sections you don't have that one piece of hair hanging out at the back. We've all done that. Oop, getting better, doing one hand with this little swingy door thing. Okay, so I pulled this one up at about this angle. Let's try to replicate it on this side. Definitely recommend this set for finer hair. I would ideally like to have 2 sets of this roller pack, and I would be able to get my sections that I like to do. Man, it's so hard to tuck those ends in. Learning curve. Everybody has a learning curve with a new technique. And this is what, the 8th one I've done. And on this one, I'm struggling with my ends. Okay, similar angle. Right, so now we've got my front sections. I'm gonna be able to unclip and split. Whoa. Clip that one out of the way. So this one is going to be the smaller purple side. Get my little doors lined up so I can do it with one hand. Now, move. Woo! That one's like moved out of place. Ooh, these ones are actually really hot now to hold because they've been sitting in the little heat tumbler thing for longer. And I'm starting to get a sweat massage. It hit 41 degrees Celsius yesterday. And it is going to be one hot summer. While these cool down, I will definitely be putting my aircon back on. It's too loud while I'm filming, unfortunately. All right, so we got a small one here. Almost done. Okay, all done. So as you can see, they don't want to sit on base too much. They want to just keep unraveling, which is something that I'm just gonna have to find predictable as I do this. I will never get a full on base curl set. It will be more of a length curl. Now I am going to let them cool down. I'm going to go until they are nice and cold. I'm going to crank the aircon and I will see you without a sweat massage when they're all cool. These bottom ones they're cool to touch, but these ones are quite hot because they were sitting in the container for so long. So I will see you soon. And we're back. I literally stood in front of the aircon with the fan swing. Beautiful. Oh, so that did help with the time of cooling these down. I would say normally I like to leave about half an hour. So I would say I reduced it down to about 15 minutes. These ones, the last ones that I rolled, are a little warm. I'm just putting the hot part of these rollers are the silicone. So the coldest ones are the first ones that I did. I've got my thumb just on the silicone to test the temperature, And then these ones are just a little bit warm, but once I've finished talking shit about my next section, they should be cool enough to take out. Now, you come along on the journey with me, and I will be filling out my curl set pattern diagram, which is part of my free curl set resources, which you can download below. This is what I do, either physically or mentally, and then fill it in another time. Or every time I curl my hair with a new method, a new technique, any parameter that I change within a curl set, I take note of this. Sometimes I just take pictures on my phone and then have a little folder to document it if I don't have enough time to print out and fill out a new form every single time. So we have the blank section included, and I'm just going to be putting in all of the little sections I have. I've got a head there. It's got a middle part. I'm just going to ignore that and do it as a center part. And I'm just going to do these big circles to represent these rollers. You can do arrows or anything like that. Normally when I'm doing rollers, I do circles. It's just how that they did some vintage setting patterns from the 60s when they used big rollers. So that is what I like to do. I'm just marking these sections so I remember what I did, especially the difference between the smaller and the bigger sections. And then obviously the method is the silicone pop-up heated rollers. Secret curl setting solution is, hair condition, 1 day old hair. Setting solution is just the Pinup School setting solution, and that was, I always like to say how I did it, so spritzed onto each section before curling. And then the time, this can be, you can write down the exact time, so if you're doing a wet set, you can record like you started curl setting your hair at 9 o'clock in the morning and brush it out at 9 o'clock in the morning the next day. I just am estimating, I was chatting through this one, so I'm going to say it took probably about 20 minutes to actually curl my hair. And then I'm going to make a little note that about half an hour for it to cool down. When I do heated sets, I would normally roll my hair up and set it first, and then go and do my makeup, get changed, and then that's normally the allotted amount of time that you need for your sets to cool down. And now we are going to go into the brush out. Now, another thing on an experimental approach, a scientific approach, is my hypothesis is these fell as I was walking around, so they fell from that position down to here. There is no way that I can see that you'll be able to keep them upright like they have in this picture. Don't believe everything you see in advertising. I don't know how you're meant to keep them upright like that. These ones are, still a little bit flappy and floppy. If you can see, I've got a little bit of section of hair here that got stuck between the actual roll of the silicone. So that section is probably going to be a little bit kinky. These have fallen out of place, so I'm not expecting a high volume curl. I'm expecting a length curl from these. Also, my hypothesis with heated curl sets is it's probably not going to last too long. I can not, with relative predictability, because of all the experiments I've done in the past, I don't think I'll have much curl at the end of the day. But for now, I will see how it turns out. Yep, these bits are, pretty good, pretty cool. Let's take them out. So I started with this one. So you just pop it. Okay, pop it out and unravel. That's all right. It's got a little bit of a bounce to it. It doesn't feel crunchy. It feels really cold because I'm standing in front of the aircon. That's an acceptable heat curl in my hair, especially an off-base heat curl. I do not also see how these ends were not as perfectly tucked in. I don't expect every one of my sections to be perfect since this was the first time I used it. So you can see the result of what happens when you don't control your ends in a curl set. I've got this one little bit here. If you can see, I'll try and put it against the white. I've got this one little section here that was, you know, bent in the wrong direction as it rolled up. These things happen. The more experience you get with a curl set, the more you are able to control your ends. Okay, there's curl to it. Sorry, so that was my kinky one. So, I don't know if you can see that. Man, let's see if I can use this. Let's pop that section here. Can you see that? I don't know. Is there a bit that doesn't have the black? All right, so can you see that little section here, which was that bit that got stuck? That's got a slight different kink and a curl pattern to the rest. That's what happens if you don't create a uniform curl. And I am being very kind to myself with it being the first time trying out this hairstyle. So when I talk about a length curl, I'm talking about the fact that the curl does not start right at the scalp, it develops further down. So when you've got longer hair, you are more likely going to create length curls. Shorter hair, because it's literally shorter, there's not as much weight to it, you're going to be able to get that volume of that curl higher up in your head. So these aren't snagging my hair, taking them out, which is good. Always a plus. This one first. Yeah, you can see how loosey-goosey they are. Not really. Maybe the next time I try to do it, I'm going to figure out a way to secure them a little bit better. That was a good one. There we go. Now this one. So it's got a cute little bounce and a curl to it, as you can see. It's left my hair nice and shiny. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much what a heat set, especially with rollers, will do. I am able to get a lot more definition in my curl with a heated tong pin curl set, mainly just because I'm a bit more in control of my sections. If I had 2 sets of these, so if I had 24 rollers to play with, I would have definitely used much smaller sections. Obviously half of the width that I did in this set, because I would have twice as many rollers to play with. I would be able to get more of a vintage curl out of it, which I would be able to brush out a lot more and maybe get a little bit more of a spiral. So at this point, I am going to give it a spray with working hairspray before I touch any of those curls. And I'm gonna let that hairspray just sit and set. Now in my hair, this is actually pretty cute. It's a style that I don't think I'm going to be brushing out too much. And you can see that I haven't got a uniform curl pattern either. So this one went forwards, this one went back. And that's all just got to do with experience and experimentation, and using the rollers a way that feels comfortable for you and your shoulders. Also, I forgot to mention, if you start doing curl sets and your arms start getting really tight, it's literally muscles that you have to build up. As a photographer, as a vintage stylist, this is pretty much how my arms hang out when I'm working anyways. So I do have quite, like, I'm not muscly or anything, but I do have quite strong muscles for endurance in my shoulders. I can hold my arms up for a good amount of time, and I developed that not just from working but also from Pilates, and I will leave a card to my styling arms video on some basic arm exercises that you can do just sitting in front of TV to build up that endurance in your shoulders and your neck, so that when you are doing your curl sets, you're not going to be like, oh my God, get into the last section and just giving up because your arms are so tired. So all that comes with time and comes with building up those muscles. But yeah, doing those exercises, it will really help and build up those muscles for you. Pretty bouncy, pretty cute. I'm going to just very gently finger brush this. I have in the past done a heated roller set, brushed it pretty much straight. So I know that my hair does not respond too well to heat. And then you can see I've got that different curl pattern happening here. And that is only annoying me because I have my middle part. And then you can just, you know, tuck one side behind your ear if it's not as even as you want. Grip tooth combs are amazing for that. So that is why I normally like to do a vintage curl set with a side part, because I don't have to worry about getting the symmetry right in my hair. A little bit kinder to yourself, and it gets you out the door a bit quicker. So I don't want to brush that with a brush. That is how I'm feeling. This is fairly cute. This side I'm definitely going to be tucking behind my ear, and I'm going to give it just a little spray. Tapping that spray in. Just getting that nice and smooth. Right, so that's the hairstyle. I don't think that needs any pomade. You can also like wrap your hair around your fingers if you want to get more of that barrel roll. If you don't like the barrel roll, you can just pick it out and separate it. Wet sets have a bit more forgiveness in it with playing with the silhouette, in my hair anyways. So that's the style. I'll flick it back over so you can see how it looks from the back. Fairly acceptable, pretty cute curl set. And yeah, long hairstyle curl set, pretty easy to use. I'm confident that the more that I use these little pop rollers, the neater I'm going to get. The setting and the cool down time wasn't that long, so I can see I will definitely be using this in the future, because there is not really enough to do a full curl set like I like in my hair. I think these will be my go-to when I'm doing like a half up, half down, with doing victory rolls. So I can do my victory rolls just with my hair as is, and then pop these into the lower half of my hair to get that curl. So yeah, that's how it is. The secret curl. Thank you for coming along on this journey with me. Let me know if you've tried these, or even if you've tried the vintage version, so the non-heated version. They were a lot smaller, I believe, as well. So you could get more of a vintage style. So normally it's about 2 centimeters is what I say, is the width of a vintage curl. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Always forget to say that. Subscribe to the channel. I upload every Friday. And if you like pinup and vintage and retro and all of that stuff and listening to me gab on about stuff, make sure you subscribe. I upload every Friday. Make sure you also download your free curl set resources down below, and start experimenting with curl sets. It's really fun. There's not much else that you can experiment in life. So yeah, thank you, and I will see you next week.